Hello, everybody! I'm back online! My whole setup has changed. I'm saying it again because it's fun. Yeah, I'm a beastie! I love my beastie so much. Let me go make sure I'm using the right one. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so, because it's not listening to me at the moment. Hello, everybody! We're gonna go back into playing Our Life. Always, now and always, something like that. But, basically, super cute slice of life childhood friends to lovers sort of deal dating sim visual novel. And we're going back to memories, so now you guys get the music. Do you guys want to pick the first set of memories that we do? Because we're going to finish up the memories today, I believe, before moving on to the next one. And I'm glad to see people in the chat. We're gonna do Runaway? Sounds good. To the Runaway we go. It was early, and you were on your way to the playground. Lizzie had planned on joining you there later. You weren't sure what she was busy with right now. Older kids stuff, you imagined. That was okay. What was forefront in your mind was if Cove might be free to come too. Cove. As you walked the familiar streets, wondering how you might find your neighbor, he appeared in front of you, almost as if he was a mind reader. Hi, Cove. Can you come to the playground with me? No. Sorry. Cove looked strangely serious. It had to be an even bigger deal than whatever mystery thing Lizzie had to do. I'm leaving, Lane. By the character that we are is Lane Woodrow. What? Where? He shifted and your gaze was drawn to the backpack slung over his shoulders. Cove liked to stuff things into his pockets, from what you'd seen. But some people sometimes carried bags with them. It hadn't been very attention-worthy, until now. The pack was decorated with cartoon waves and dolphins. He gripped one of the straps tightly with his good hand. I just wanted you to know. Cove didn't glance up and meet your eyes. You started to grow worried. Alright. Well, yeah. I don't know what people are like, so this is my best approximation. A space dragon play a video game. I mean, this is such a fun LGBT-friendly one, too. Because I got two moms as Lane. And I'm a non-binary little bean. Exactly. Let's see. What shall we pick? What's our dialogue option here? Since we do have some new viewers, we got straightforward. We got our blue straightforwards, our yellow emotionals, our green sort of fearful / neutrals, and that's our choices in emotional stuff. The second game that is in progress, the one that got me interested in this particular game, that I backed on Kickstarter. This one's beginning is in always, the other one is now and forever. Has 2 love interest choices, including a little lady. So, let's see if we can get... Alright, let's pick something. But where are you going? He didn't answer. It was as if you hadn't said anything. I'll come back, though, sometime. I don't know when, but we can do stuff then. He directed a fragile smile your way. Without another word, Cove turned on his heel and started to walk away. What shall we do? Our friend is leaving. Our weird little friend. I'm hoping that eventually I will be able to do these sorts of visual novels with friends on Discord calls and have little taco blobs for them. Little people to join in my stream where they can talk and chitter and chatter and have little PNGs for themselves. Oh, absolutely. I plan on drawing PNGs for everybody that's ever given me a Sona that's also my friend. And if they want to stream, I have all of my wonderful friends at the Institute, Live Institute. The wonderful Live Institute, which is studying me because I am a beast that does not necessarily exist in normal situations. The Live, of course, standing for locating the intelligent and varied extraordinary. So, you know, me, a weird floating space dragon, kaiju, creatures on Earth like cryptids, more aliens, interdimensional pocket dimensions, sentient space clouds. We all sort of exist as purview of study. Of course, they're trying not to disturb our habitats. Of course, this was a space satellite, little Vega 9 probe. Always fun. I do have the Ace Attorney games, which I think I'll play after this. Oh no, see, that would be their programmer. Their programmer was like, well, we've made contact with an alien species, but they don't have any reference or frame of reference. So, visual novel. Let's get them kind to people. Let's make them fall in love with people. Let's see if they like people as children growing up together. That should be safe, right? He did not run this past the director. He did not. I'll have to draw the squad up, but right now it's just 3 people. I'm the biggest discovery they've had in a while. Yeah, exactly. Let's go after Cove, by the by. Wait! He kept going. His focus wasn't on you anymore. What was that about? You watched as his back grew smaller and smaller. Then you realized that you were just still standing in the middle of the sidewalk. You thought about your earlier plan of playing at the park. Suddenly, it didn't seem as fun anymore. Not without Cove. But it wasn't like you could force him to play with you. He had things to do. Okay, guys, shall we go play at the park by ourselves, or are we gonna just stay in the middle of the road? Heck yeah, we should go to the park. Park it is! My dear friends, of course. It was still sad Cove wouldn't be there, but you wanted to stick with the plans you had on your own. Maybe Cove and his dad were going on a vacation? That had to be it, you reasoned. After all, Cove said he was going to be back. He wasn't moving again. You resolved to spend time with Cove when you saw him for next time, for sure. A couple hours at the playground by yourself. It had gotten firmly into the afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the distance. She was rushing over like something was on her tail, chasing her. You knew she would be coming, but was she that excited to get to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balanced on her hands and knees, and panted. Did you hear? Big Sister Lizzie, everybody. Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found the new hiding places of Mom's sugar stash. It's about Cove! Cove? Something in the pit of your stomach dropped at hearing his name. You listened intently as Lizzie explained. I just came out when I saw lots of people gathered around in the middle of the street. They were all talking kind of quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear, but that just means it was important. So I snuck up and heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly she wanted you to say something. What did you hear? Seeing that she had your attention, Lizzie continued. Cove is missing. He left a piece of paper for Mr. Holden to tell him he was going away and would be gone for a long time, and no one's seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if they don't find Cove soon, they'll call the police. The police? This was horrible. You had seen Cove. You knew he was going someplace, but you had no idea it was like that. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? You thought you might have to go to jail too, for not saying anything and letting him go. You glanced back at Lizzie. Should you tell her that you'd known about Cove leaving? Or would it be better to keep that to yourself? You got it. If you see somebody and then they go missing, you should tell somebody about the experience. Generally, especially if you're a kid. That's my thought process here. You know, being a big space dragon and all. Actually, Lizzie, I saw Cove. He told me he was gonna go before I went to the park. What? Really? You nodded seriously. Ooh, you know, you could be in big trouble if a grown-up found out you didn't tell anybody that Cove was being weird. Ooh, looks like I can scroll back the time. She crossed her arms over her chest, sticking her nose in the air. You're lucky I won't tell on you. You're welcome. My dramatic older sibling. Lizzie's being dramatic, so we should be dramatic back. Thanks, Lizzie. You were happy that Lizzie had your back. She always did when it came to potential trouble. She just grinned down at her own interpretation of her favor. You watched as your sister began to pace in front of you. I know Mom said Cove was sad about moving here, but running away from home is crazy. Where else is he gonna go, anyway? What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't know. I want to find him. I hope somebody finds him soon. Yeah. I'd go tons of places or not answering at all. I don't know? Yeah, that makes the most sense. Since I don't know. Even though I do know, since they told us that he missed his mom, and that his parents are basically divorced, and that she has all of his stuff at the old house that he used to live, instead of with his dad. But that was all in the prologue. Lizzie scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment, then she nodded and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna look too. You are? Mm-hmm. We can play at the park any day. And the more people there are looking, the quicker somebody will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm the best at hide and seek, after all. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Wish me luck. Stuff is important. I don't know what I would do if I lost Vega 9. I love this little satellite. It's so good. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in this crisis faded to the back of your mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. Why did Cove suddenly decide to do that? Did something bad happen? It was impossible to say for sure. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He had gone there the first time you met. But someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need the police for that. Cove must be far away, or hiding somewhere if the whole neighborhood was looking for him. You swung back and forth, your lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Lizzie had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home was somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that might be important enough for Cove to go off like this. It was a good idea, except how was he going to get there? Could he take a bus? Was he going to walk the whole way? You didn't know what direction he needed to take. But wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to either side meant he would mean he'd get stuck by buildings and fences and big slopes like the one behind your house. That left going up the street. You knew that road. It led to the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits. Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off that road onto some other street. Which meant, if someone followed that path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so... Alright guys, are we going to tell the adults or are we going to go find Cove by ourselves? Heck yeah, we're going to tell the adults. The whole chat agrees. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. On your way home, you spotted Mom almost instantly. She must know about Cove and was looking too because she was wearing a worried frown. Her expression cleared up when she saw you walking towards her. Lane, I'm glad you're here, Cove is... She cut herself off, sighing deeply. Why don't you head inside? I need to stay out here a bit longer. Something is going on right now, but we'll take care of it. Mom tried to usher you into the house, but you didn't budge from where you stood. Mom, I think I know where Cove went. What? How did you find out he's missing already? She shook her head before you could answer. You know what? That's not important right now. Where is it, Lane? You told her your hunch. She listened intently. The main street. That's not good. I'll drive down there to make sure he doesn't get far. Mom muttered that more to herself than you, but you heard her all the same. Alright. Are we going to ask to go with? Are we going to ask if Cove will be okay? Or are we going to stay at home? It's true. Boy does have some severe issues. Is Cove gonna be okay? Mom turned back to you, her features softening. She leaned down and hugged you briefly. Don't worry, Lane. He will be. You helped make sure of that. She sounded more confident than you felt. Just like that, some of your worry faded away. Mom guided you to the house with a hand on your shoulder. You both went in. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. Mom briefly explained what happened before she grabbed the car keys. Mommy saw her out. Soon after, you were herded into the kitchen. You sat at the table while Mommy microwaved leftovers, which you gobbled up. You hadn't realized how hungry you were. The two of you settled into the living room after that. Mommy put a cartoon on the TV for you to watch while you waited. You snuggled up against her side as you watched the show. Warm and safe. Your mind was still on Cove. Would Mom find him out there in town, or was he actually somewhere else? You didn't have to wait long to find out. Halfway through the episode, you heard the front door unlock. Then it swung open with a shout. "We're here! I've got him, Lonnie! Come on in, Cove." You stood up from the couch and ran over. Your heart was beating so loud in your chest that you could hear it in your ears. Mom was putting the car keys away. Cove stood nearby with his head bowed. You squinted to get a better look at him. Cove looked exhausted. His eyes were rimmed red, nearly matching his glasses, and there were dried tear tracks stuck on his cheeks. Our other parent. The mother. The mom. The mommy. Oh, thank goodness you found him. Yes, he was way down Main Street, just like Lane said. Cove shuffled his feet at that, but he remained silent. You could tell he felt out of place. Yes, both of them. Both mothers. You weren't the only one who noticed his discomfort.
Okay.
You must be tired, Cove. You can sit down wherever you'd like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned him into the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. You walked close behind him, frowning. Cove was always pretty quiet, but this was a different kind of quiet. The living room wasn't far, or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing. That explains it, at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True, it can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots. I'll call, then go to the front to tell everyone's still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hun. Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kinda want to run away and not come back this time so I don't have to see them again. I think probably that isn't gonna help, or please never run away again. What do you guys think? I'm open to getting opinions from the audience on this. Yeah. Yeah, he's going through it, like, the world's worst divorce. From the prologue, they said that he and his dad were kicked out with just whatever they had on their backs. They weren't even allowed to get a moving truck. So, like, that's so sad. And then on top of that, yeah, like, that mom didn't send anything. His dad's out here with full custody of the kid, so, and the kid struggles with dealing with his dad. Like, I don't think we ever see the mom in this game. But if we do, I want to give her a piece of my mind. Holy shoot. Please, never run away again. Cove looked guilty for even suggesting that, despite it not being serious. I won't. Not for real. I do like his wavy eyebrows, though. It's very cute. Before you could say anything else, the front door opened. Your mom was back, with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son. Cove, God, are you all right? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened, like he'd been crying too. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He hadn't really expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. That's good, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still grinning weakly, then looked at your moms. Thank you for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully.
I'm sorry.
And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough.
It's okay.
It was no trouble, Cliff. Really, it couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. We're just happy we could help, and that Cove's safe and sound. Not for the first time that day you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then, too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought, because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad. I won't leave anymore. Promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine.
I'm so glad.
That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. His dad is doing his best. He's trying so hard. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over, carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder. Yes, he is doing what he can, and loving with all his being. That is exactly the case, even though he tried to bribe a child to be his son's friend. It's so funny. That's literally the first interaction you have with this man. He's like, I'll give you $20 to be friends with my kid. There's like 4 other kids in the neighborhood. We were gonna be friends anyway, dude. You have that option. We took the money, and then we told Cove about it later, and he had a whole heart-to-heart with his dad. And now we each have half of a $20 bill, because it was ripped in half. So that's our friendship bracelet. Instead of a BFF necklace, we have 2 halves of it. $20 bill. I agree. Dad needs to possibly get them both into therapy. If that whole situation with the divorce went down as bad as it seems it did. But we don't know how well off he is. Enough that he can buy a house and possibly run a scuba supply store? But / scuba lessons. Exactly. We don't know how long it's been. We don't know how much he's used up his savings to buy a house here. All of that, yeah. Because this all takes place around the summer vacation that we first meet Cove. This is the first step. So we'll see. Either way, the boy's adorable. The main love interest who is your childhood friends to lovers situation, if you play it that way. And apparently, your choices help him grow up into the person that you might want him to be. Who knows? Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The 5 of you walked over to the front door so that you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow, but he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lane. For what? Your mom said you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went back. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. I'm glad you're okay. He began to sniffle again while looking at your face. I'm glad you're here. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were left feeling overwhelmed. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom's sent you off for a nap with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. After the nap, everything else was a blur. You were settled into bed for real later that night in what felt just like a couple moments. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It almost was like it was a dream. But it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. I gotta say, I love all of the strange stuffed animals that are in here. We've got Jester Owl Bear, Mushroom Wizard Frog, Teardrop Purple Thing on top of the closet, Bunnyphant? Elephant? Bunny? Can't tell. And Capybara Sheep. After breakfast, you were sat down and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were pleased that you came to them the moment you had an idea of where Cove disappeared off to. As a reward, your moms promised to take you and Lizzie out for a treat later. It was more than welcome change from the worry you'd been dealing with. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what he said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word you hadn't heard before. Self-flagellation. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. Alright. Five more memories. Moments. We got Ghost, Sleepover, Long Day, Grown Up, and Shopping. You guys picked Runaway, so I will pick Grown Up. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you... Yes! This whole summer he's had a cast on. It's hard to see. But he got himself a pink cast. I still don't know where it came from or what happened. But he's had it since we've known him. And it's gonna be on the whole summer. Listening to the sounds of birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon. At least according to Mommy. So your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. Why? I said why. And it'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove. Lane, what do you think? Do you want to? Do we want to play adults? Yes. You do? Seriously? Yeah. Hooray! Okay, let me think. What do I want to be? Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Lane, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything that we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yep! She's a sport girl. She's specifically a golf girl. But there's other kinds of sports too. It isn't the same. What do you think, Lane? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? I kind of like those. It really doesn't. It sounds like a blast. Isn't there anything else we can be? You nodded. Maybe not. So... This is one of those ones where I can't decide because all of the options are at least a little bit funny. I don't think this one's as fun because you're not saying anything. But, like, isn't there anything else we can be? Or, it sounds like a blast. Honestly, most of these are really fun. What do you guys think? If I need to read the options again, I will. Sounds like a blast? Sounds good. Sounds like a blast. True. I could have done that one, and maybe I will in the next time I play this, which may or may not be on stream. But right now we're doing sounds like a blast. Because our older sister likes to steamroll us. Your sister lit up with delight. I know, right? Which one do you want? Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you'd prefer to play... I'm a little 8-year-old. Yes, it's also the option that most people would pick. Especially little kids, because that's the only option that lets them jump up on the furniture without getting in trouble later. Especially since we're not allowed to go outside to the beach. And tennis would be breaking windows. Sand can be brought in, I suppose. So sure, the people want beach volleyball. Yeah, but they do live in a beach town, so they're probably used to cleaning sand out of everything. Oh God. If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, then you might as well pretend you were there. You can even wear your swimsuit to make it seem more realistic. Although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now because she had you here. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a volleyball player. Alright. How about you, Cove? I'll have a volleyball team too. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. You didn't say that. The rule was picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. I sit here. I read that line. And I go, but that's what younger me did. I liked to add rules as we were playing. Oops. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle. Yeah, isn't it? These are, like, you haven't even met, Shiloh, who is little groupie, slightly younger than Lane and Cove, who idolizes Lizzie. Little freckle boy. Very sweet, very cute. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Fine, you're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team! What? We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific. That's what makes it fun. Anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. If I'm supposed to know golf, you're gonna be sorely mistaken, people who know golf. Oh no. Do you know golf, Duck? Oh no. Oh no. You have a Lizzie in your class. Oh no. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if we're not all first place. Hey, we can do better than silver. Yeah, that sounds like the Lizzie so far in the game too. We did the library where she was hyper competitive at the summer reading program, which apparently was a quiz with prizes. And because me and Cove went to play hide and seek in the stacks, she got second place and was pouting about it. She's very, very competitive. But yes, we're also obviously saying, hey, we can do better than silver. You pouted at Lizzie, unhappy with the decision. Slane's right.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way, it wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses here with a street. On it. Right on the sand. By the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. Whew, boy. The kids are fighting. The kids are fighting. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if I can't imagine anything? Jeez. Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing. How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her side. It's not impossible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements like this always seem to crop up. Yes, but you have to remember, the in-game player character is also 8 years old. And there are no adults in this house right now. Lane is just sort of sitting there watching this drama unfold going, wait, guys. If I could, I'd bring down my box of seashells and go, let's just look at my seashells instead. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together and you felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought you were tired of deciding between the either of them. See, if that was an option, I could do that, but it seems like I have to either choose between a beach house, a mansion, Cove being right, Lizzie agreement, or just not doing either of that. And I don't want to do either of that. Neither of you are right. You're both being kind of rude to each other. So, you were tired of deciding between either of them. You didn't engage with their bickering and instead dreamt up your own dream house. And you weren't going to share your idea with them either. You already knew it was a good one. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you'd said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed at her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking her tongue out at Cove. Lizzie, Lane, it's time to get ready to go. Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'd walk you home, so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But bye, Lane. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay? Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? I am a truthful little bean. We have already determined that we are a truthful little bean because we definitely 100% already told Cove about his dad trying to bribe us into being his friend even though we wanted to be his friend anyway. Always tell the truth. Even if it hurts. Even if it makes you go, oh, I don't want to do this. Always tell the truth. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both her hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. He caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault, too, but it was over. Ah, right. We better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Nolani, where did you leave the car keys? Mommy's full name. Mom hustled all of you out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. Okay. Favorite song? Movie soundtrack? Lizzie song. What shall we do for our sister who is sulking about the consequences of her actions? This is true. Favorite song it is. Oh, favorite song or cool music? The movie soundtrack? Or our favorite song? That is the choice now. I say, let's do the music soundtrack then. Movie soundtrack. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. She acted like she was a grown-up most of the time, but you knew she liked the movie too. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. The only thing that's bad about golf as a concept is how much water they use to deal with their fake grass, which is real grass, just overly watered. You don't need all that. You don't need all that. Do magic terrain golf. Terrain golf based off of the area that it's in. Up the challenge ratings. Make it more difficult. Don't make everything just random grass. That's gross. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day. You stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm up your skin. When the sun finally fell out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant that you all had been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street and then reversing into the driveway. Smart parent. The safest way to get into your driveway is to reverse into it. That way you just have to drive out. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips. Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day is done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. Honestly, we got 3 choices here that make sense. You didn't regret it. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. But it was her fault for doing it in the first place. Honestly, yeah. When you fight with people, you do gotta tell people. I like when we're all in sync. We're all just like, yeah, you hadn't liked doing it, but had to do it. You had to. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything that you did. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. Especially don't hide fighting with friends. Because an outside perspective can sometimes be all you need in order to get right back into it. The 4 of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove? Lizzie Woodrow? What a surprise! But of course, if you can say hey to the boy. But of course you can say hey to the boy. The fact that he keeps calling his son the boy is really funny to me. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nolani, Lane, and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. Hi, Cove's dad. Kids will always say hi to just random people, especially if everybody else around them is doing it too. The gang's all there, huh? Hi, Cove's dad. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. It's true. If they like a parent or a person, they all know whose dad or parent, like whose dad, mom, parent, teacher. They're all going to scream it at the top of their lungs so that you can hear their specific voices. This is what I have picked up from searching on the internet on Vega 9 after streams. I want more interaction with humans though, so I stream on these times. I learn things. Yep, you belong to the you belong to the children's if you go into the classroom. All of the children, every child, you're all of theirs. Specifically under the title of whoever's parent or teacher, or if you're a teacher, the name, your name, or whatever you've told the class they can call you. His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the 2 of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out, "Cove, there's someone on the phone for you." After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. "Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Lane's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi?" It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. "Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know, my dad told me." Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away. "I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again." You can't really say that. It'll happen again unintentionally. But you can say you'll do your best to not do it again. That's a good promise to make. That's one that can be made. Exactly. I'll do my best to not be mean again. Don't make the children promise absolutes. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. "Me and Lane should get gold too." Yes. Exactly. Promise they could try. I'll do my best. I'll try not to do it again. Let me know if I'm starting to be mean. If they're like close friends. Yeah, exactly. You should also teach children, especially ones that have problems with imagination interactivity, the rules of improv. Yeah, exactly. Imagination activities are like the rules of improv. Like, this whole situation started from, "You guys won silver. No, we can do better than that. Let us do better than that." Yes, and keep moving forward. "Okay, then we both won gold, and we're dealing with a translator not being around, and the Chinese team is talking to us. The Chinese ping pong team is talking to us." Something ridiculous like that, where you're all struggling to understand somebody else or something. Yeah. Communication is a hard skill, and it should be taught earlier in like the younger classes. Boundaries are so hard for just anybody in general. But you gotta be true to yourself. You gotta say, "No, I'm not having fun. I want to walk away. I am having fun, but it doesn't seem like you want to let me play. Can I play too?" And have the answer no be okay. All of these things, very important. And a lot of the skills you'll have to learn them later in life. I wonder why you didn't learn them earlier. It sucks. "Me and Lane should get gold too." That's right. Lizzie kept denying what you two deserved. Lizzie was momentarily stunned silent by the demand. She probably forgot that it even happened already. "All right. We all win the gold. Okay. I guess I'm sorry too." A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. "Dad, can I get off the phone now?" You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really. He's so introverted, it's so funny. Like, he doesn't want to talk to anybody but me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. Bye, Lane. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even if you couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone back to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. That's a good parenting thing, too. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. Yes, I completely agree. Apologies, how to apologize and how to mean it are another thing that definitely should be taught in school as a social skill. The 3 steps of a good apology are as follows. Accept the fault. Explain what it is that you did wrong or what you felt like you did wrong in the situation. Genuinely say your apology. And also what you're going to do to try and prevent it from happening in the future. Apologies, that was a coughing fit and I didn't want you guys to hear it. We were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Alright. We got 4 more. Shopping, ghost, long day, and sleepover. What would you guys like to do, since it's your turn to pick the memory? Oh, we want the ghost story? Excellent. To the ghost stories, then. The night was incredibly still. You really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It was almost eerie. You could even hear Lizzie snoring in the room next door, or next room over. Bleh, room next door. Aye aye, Duck! Thank you for joining us. Perhaps we will see you next time. Enjoy. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip right past you. You flicked through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you laid in bed. The ones that stuck out all seemed to include your new neighbor, Cove. It was funny how he had become such a big part of your life in such a short span of time. You thought a lot about what happened, with what adventures you could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up to you. Then you heard something scrape against the window. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch against the glass. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more you tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed like it became. It was like something was trying to get your attention. You lifted your head off the pillow to get a better look. Nothing was there. Nothing you could see, at least. big old noise like that, would I be able to go back to sleep as an 8-year-old? Or would I need to get up and investigate? Let's go investigate. He practically jumped out of bed and crept down the stairs to go outside. Your moms were still awake. They stayed up so late, it seemed. Luckily, they were watching TV and didn't hear the soft click of the front door opening as you slipped past. You looked around the neighborhood for a few seconds, checking over each individual house. It looked normal, but it didn't feel that way. You knew you weren't supposed to be out here right now. It made you regret your decision. Without the protective seal of your mom's approval, you felt very, very vulnerable. There must be a reason you were allowed out in the day and not at night. Not knowing precisely what that reason was made you feel even more afraid. The ease with which you had slipped out only served to make you feel worse. Your moms didn't need to be vigilant because they had trusted you not to do exactly what you were doing. Lane. You twitched at the sudden call, immediately calming down upon seeing Cove walking up to you. It was strange, and yet also completely normal to have him appear like this right now. This is a cute sweater! Look at his cute sweater. It's so cute. What are you doing? I saw you standing around in the middle of the street from my window. You weren't sleeping either? Why not? Cove turned his lips up to smile, almost as if he were amused by the question. Because... Did you hear a weird noise? You could tell you hit the nail on the head by the way his eyes widened. Yeah, you knew? I heard it too. That's why you came out, huh? Cove hesitated for a moment, looking down the street before his aquamarine eyes fell on you again. Did it scare you? I'll go with a little, because honestly, if a kid's sitting there overthinking, yeah, they're gonna be a little scared. Yeah. Me too. I feel better that you're here. Me too. The two of you delicately smiled at that. Cove even chuckled a bit. It was nice that you both felt the same way about things. I was kind of wondering if it was the wind, but what if it's not? What if it's a person? What if it's something that's not a person? The unsettling noise rushed through the air. Cove and you flinched. It sounds even worse than before. You were about to agree with him when the noise came yet again, tearing through the night still. The two of you rapidly looked around, trying to find the source, but to no avail. There was no sign of an answer to this puzzle. You thought that... It could be anything. It had to be a ghost. There's gotta be a regular reason for it. I think it's probably one of the top two for me, but what do you guys think? Or rather, what do you think, Eclectic? Definitely it could be anything. Gotcha. Sounds about right. It could be anything. You weren't going to rule out possibilities yet. It was a mystery. Do you think it was a ghost? It might be. I don't know. The thought of some sinister, invisible thing lurking in the darkness wasn't exactly a pleasant one. Cove seemed downright terrified at the notion. At least as long as the two of you were stuck together, everything would be okay. Hey, can you tell where it's coming from?
Not really.
Not really. Then we'll have to look more. Somewhere else. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's go. You clustered together as you walked the familiar streets of your neighborhood, drawing strength from each other's presence. Shadows cut corners and angles where you didn't expect them, distorting the features you saw every day. The noise came again, shrill and hard. It set your teeth on edge in the way it ground its way through you. Cove's throat bobbed. His eyes glistened in the dim light. I'm gonna offer hand-holding. We're gonna be little kids wandering around holding hands because we're scared. You offered your hand. You really wanted to be there for him and wanted to show that. Your hand was left up for him to take. Cove's mouth wordlessly opened. There was a pause, but ultimately he accepted the offer. I agree. Very yay. His hand was really sweaty, but it didn't bother you. You were scared too, but being able to comfort Cove was the most important thing right now. Cove shut his eyes and pressed his lips together. Your fingers locked around each other even tighter. Where did you want to check? The park, the beach, the hills behind my house. Well, since we both heard it from our houses... I honestly don't know. What do you guys think it might be? I'm thinking maybe the hills? Yeah. The parents will be less upset. True. True. The hills behind my house. You and Cove ascended the hill, lit only by the stars in the night sky. The wind rippled through the grass and ruffled your hair. Without the sun's light to translate what you were seeing, every bush in the distance looked like a creepy figure or a towering monster. The noise was just as loud here as it was in your neighborhood, with as little indication behind the cause. Should we keep going forward? Or are we going to go back to our neighborhood? We've gone this far, we'll keep going forward. You couldn't stop when you had already gone so far. You had to find out what was going on. On top of the hill was an excellent vantage point to survey the town from. Everything appeared. We've so gotten into very much trouble. Snuck out of the house at night without telling anybody. Met up with another kid who was also probably in trouble for running away that one time. Very, very dangerous. The top of the hill was an excellent vantage point to survey the town from. Everything appeared normal. There was no out-of-place sight pinpointing the answer to this mystery. Without visible markers to guide your way, you supposed it was up to you and Cove to deduce the source of the sound. The hill had many great hiding places, and you intended to check them all. You upturned rocks, peered up trees, and rummaged in the thick grass for anything that might bring some closure on all this. You stuck close to Cove as you hunted for the source of the noise. When the shrieking noise shook the air, seeing him beside you calmed your racing heart. Seeking to ease your nerves and put aside thoughts of what might be out on this dark and spooky night, you decided to strike up a conversation. Your search for a topic was more fruitful than your search for the noise. Your eyes fell on Cove's cast and you were instantly inspired. Have you broken any other bones?
No.
No. Oh. It turned out that wasn't much of an engaging topic for him after all. Alright, a fun character building moment. Has this small child who's lived at the beach their whole life broken a bone, sprained their ankle, or are they didn't do any of that? Sprained ankle? Honestly, yeah. Sand is such a difficult thing to run on. I sprained my ankle. Once. He smiled mischievously at your injury claim. That's not the same thing. It still isn't good. I guess so. That put an end to your injury discussion, but Cove's calmer mood alleviated the bleak atmosphere like you hoped it would. Cove cast his eyes out to the darkness, feeling bolder. Does this make you feel strange? We were people who heard weird noises at night and are out looking for what it is. It's like we're the start of a book or movie and we're the main characters. Yeah. Is it a horror story? Is it an action story? Is it a fantasy story? Or is it a documentary? Personally, I'm leaning towards fantasy or documentary. Ah, I see. Fantasy sounds good to me. So let's do it. Fantasy. The world they found outside looked like their own, but it wasn't. They had stepped into another dimension without even knowing. Really? Yep, it's a dimension where everyone has been cursed to sleep until the monster making the noise is defeated. How are we going to defeat the monster? We'll find magical swords that can defeat the dreaded beast with one blow. Okay. Well, whatever the noise was, you were confident that you established that it was not coming from the hill. Once you were satisfied nothing out of the ordinary was to be found on the hill, you had to consider your next step. We're already in trouble. Should we check the beach or the park next? I'm thinking the park, specifically because they keep saying it's a loud grinding noise. So maybe it's like the swing sets? Fair. The private playground was as empty as ever. You could just about hear the mysterious sound if you were quiet, but it had simmered down to a whisper. Cove was practically shaking when he realized it had progressed far enough to reach here. He swallowed hard, but faced you with a determined face. My dad says, good detective work starts at home. He watches a lot of crime shows, so maybe it could be good to look closely? Okay. Sounds right. It is too dangerous at night, you're absolutely right. The two of you swept through every corridor of the park. No monkey bar, swing, or tire went unchecked. Huh. He was squatting on the ground, squinting at something in his hand. Intrigued, you checked over his shoulder so you could see too. Cove held it in his palm. Coiled inside was a length of sparkly chain, grains of sand embedded in the fine links. Lifting it up, it became apparent how this had come to be here. You'd seen bracelets and necklaces enough to recognize that the clasp which held it together had snapped. It's broken. It's silver. Werewolves hate silver. Other things, too, I think. If this noise is caused by a monster, we can protect ourselves with it. Yeah! He flicked the chain as if cracking a tiny whip. I wonder if there's anything else we could see out here. We could use out here. Cove considered this, frowning. I should have grabbed some garlic before I left. This boy is a little monster hunter. I love it. That's so sweet. His frown evolved into a scowl. It probably wouldn't have worked. Dad doesn't have real garlic. He gets fake garlic? It's little flakes in a jar. Not real balls you have to cut up like Mom uses. Well, the little flakes in a jar are still real garlic. It's just already chopped up. That's the truth. Maybe. From his begrudging tone, you could tell that he was still firmly on the side of fresh garlic. In the original story of Dracula, it was garlic flowers, not garlic itself. You just wanted the flowers. But I get you, bro. Fresh garlic might have better effects on vampires since, vampires are preserved. You had exhausted all of the possible places to search in the park. Straightening up, you mused over your next step. It's gone. What? Then you realized it. The noise which had grown fainter and less frequent during your search had died off completely. You and Cove shared puzzled looks, but neither of you had an answer for what caused the mystery sound or made it go away. A yawn crept up on you. All the excitement had made you forget how late it was. Let's go home. We're not going to find anything now. The night was still as you walked home. With none of the usual background noises or eerie whistle from before, You could hear every step you and Cove made like a cough in a movie theater. The two of you came to a halt outside your front door. Never before had it looked so ominous. Now to sneak back inside. Do you sneak out a lot? This is the first time. Yeah, I've never tried to do it till now. Thought so. How did you know? I hadn't seen you out of my window this late before. That was fair, though it could have been possible you were just so good at sneaking that this was the first time he'd caught you. Are you worried about getting caught? No. He was so forthright that you believed him completely. But your dad, won't he get mad or sad if he catches you? He's never happy with what I do. Oh. Huh. I don't really know how to... I don't know what to say to that. Do you guys have an opinion? I'm gonna pick it. I don't know how to react to that if you guys don't have an opinion. Because, well, that's kind of... what? Well, I don't know what to say to that. That his dad is never happy with what he does. I don't think that's true, but I think he's worried about him. Alright. Yeah. Not knowing how to respond, you went back to staring at your front door. Alright, I'm going in. Okay, good night. Good night, Cove. Thanks for coming with me tonight. I'm not sure I could have done it by myself. I wanted to go with you. You beamed at him. You turned the doorknob as slowly as a clock's minute hand, holding your breath for the telltale click of the lock, then nudged it open. When all that happened was the front door opening rather than the blaring alarms you had feared, you melted with relief. Back inside your house, you were surprised to still find your moms watching TV. Weirder still, it looked like they were on the same shows they were watching before you left, yet you were positive you'd been out investigating for hours. Perhaps you could use their distraction to your advantage. If you could just get up the stairs, you would be safe from suspicion. But how could you get there? Sneak past? Walk in your own house nonchalantly? Give up and come clean? This is so funny. Never sneak. Sometimes the best thing you could do is hide in plain sight. You strode across the room in the direction of the staircase. Lane? Your moms knew you were up, but they had no idea why. They abandoned the couch and they showed to hurry over. They were still in a state of surprise. You weren't in trouble yet. What are you doing down here, sweetie? Did you have a bad dream? I went out on an adventure. We've already determined that we are a truthful little bean. We're gonna tell the whole truth. I went out, Mom. I went out a lot. I went out to find what was causing a noise. Time seemed to drag as the color drained from your mom's faces. Out where? Out of your bedroom. That's what you mean, right? You pointed it to the front door, confirming their worst fears. Mommy remained frozen in shock while Mom went into lecturing mode. Lane Woodrow, it is not safe for you to be out at this time of night by yourself. If something was wrong, you should have come to us. I wish I had the option to pick that, but I did not. I thought I knew you better than that. I trusted you to know better than that. Anything could have happened to you. We don't know where you are. It's a lot harder to keep you safe. Her voice was soft, yet it still cut deep. You pawed at the ground with your feet. What they were saying made sense. It was scary. I don't like being scared. I just wanted to see what was there. Honey. Mommy wrapped her arms around you, cradling the back of your head. You clung to her. You're brave for facing your fears, but you need to be smart too. It was scary because it might have been something dangerous, right? That kind of worry is something you should tell us about. Okay. Mom shook her head with a sigh. Let's get you back in bed where you belong. Right, and we'll have a talk about this in the morning. You pulled a face at that, but didn't protest. All things considered, they could have been much harder on you. Once your moms had left, you turned over that night's adventures in your mind. It was hard to believe that you'd really done it. Sure, you were going to get a talking to tomorrow, but it had been a night that you'd never forget, for better and worse. You hoped that Cove had gotten home okay, though he hadn't been worried. Being told off was never fun. Wriggling down deeper underneath the sheets, your thoughts turned to the unresolved mystery. You and Cove had only just begun to scratch the surface of it. Maybe you'd solve it, and maybe you wouldn't, but what matters was that you'd shared experience with the other. You were still so energized by the night's excitement that you tossed and turned in bed for some time, thinking up theories to share with Cove when you next saw him. Sleep eventually claimed you, but the adventure merely resumed in your dreams. In the morning, the lecture continued, but ultimately your moms let you off with a warning. It had been a pretty unusual circumstance, after all. You later learned Cove didn't end up in trouble for the nightly escapade either. It was unclear whether that was because his dad chose not to punish him, or if Cove got away with it. As for the sound that started this all, the adults were convinced it was nothing more than the wind. For your imaginative mind, it wasn't nearly enough. How could they accept something so simple so easily? Maybe it made more sense when you were grown up, too. Alright, I'm starting to get tired, but I have enough energy for one more, I think. So what would you guys like? I'll let you pick the last one. Shopping, long day, or sleepover? Having opinions can be very tiring, yes. I'm joking. Honestly, all of these little moments have been very cute. So, whatever you pick, it will be nice. Oh, you just think I should end it here then? Sounds fair. Alright, we'll do that. Keep it cozy. Alrighty then. I hope you guys had a fun time. I certainly had a fun time. I am going to continue this tomorrow at around the same-ish time. We'll be on YouTube that time, because by then I will have gotten the option to do that. Of course, I am glad to have humans on the stream with me, or whatever's managed to get an internet connection. I don't judge, because I'm looking forward to learning about more interesting and how to read emotions and other states. It's great. It's great. It's great, and I love it. So, I hope you guys have a great time. I will see you when next our connections cross. And until then, I hope you have a great time. Enjoy every little thing the world has to offer. See you later.